Welcome to another QU Athletics podcast. Josiah Pringer, Athena Lesiotis, and Randy Overby, a couple of his senior athletes, were highlighting cross country today on the podcast. Welcome to the show. First, Randy, I just wanted you to give a brief introduction of yourself, then we'll go to the next two athletes on this show. Today, we're going to be talking about cross country and what's going on this fall in the GLVC.
Hey, great to have you. Great to have you two here. I'm happy to be here as well. Second year at it, trying to bring some life to the program a little bit more and have some fun, be excited about, potentials that are potentially going on this year. So super excited.
No, definitely. I mean, looking forward to the year, and it's a unique situation that we have ourselves in. I've got a couple of seniors, and I'm sure both of you, this isn't how you planned or expected your senior year to go, but what are you guys doing to make the most of this situation?
Well, we really are putting in a lot of effort and a lot of time into trying to improve, especially for going in and as a team, we're trying to improve our times. We're trying to make ourselves known as Quincy University on the course. So we have been putting a lot of time, a lot of effort in.
Definitely. And Athena, I know that both of you coming into your final campaign, and you typically you'll get 6 meets in a year. This year, the GLVC still got to salvage 3 meets for you guys, and you still get to compete for that title. So what's the mindset going into a unique campaign here in 2020?
My mindset, I would say, is just to use the 3 meets that we have as just a way to really go out there, try my best, push really hard. It's only 3 meets, so you kind of should be able to just give it your all. And I don't know, we'll see what happens with those 3 meets, but I'm pretty excited for it.
Definitely. And I know, Randy, in your second season as the coach for cross country and track and field, last year track and field the season getting cut toward the end, correct? And you come in, you have a long layoff, and now you get prepared for a season. Both of these athletes also compete in both, and I know a lot of athletes do that. What has been some of the toughest part of actually having that layoff and seeing seniors get the season take away from them, and then trying to move forward and then compete for a brand new year, but still trying to deal with a lot of the woes and the struggles? And it's basically like a season-ending injury got suffered right in the middle of a campaign where you're trying to compete for titles there. So what's been the biggest struggle during this layoff of time, but now actually getting the opportunity to compete?
Well, I think all realism is it's just the absence of being around the students, absent about being around the team. They bring excitement to me. They bring excitement to the campus. They bring excitement to the sport. So it makes it a little bit, makes it fun. I think that's the biggest struggle. That's the biggest challenge that has happened, is that they were and we have not been together and had the ability to continue what we started last year. But you got to look at it as a whole and say, there's positives that we can take from it. We got some time to rest. We got some time to kind of think, get mentally strong. Got better in the classroom. That pushed us together. We got a little more opportunity to kind of get face to face on virtual calls and things of that nature. So I think it brought us together, made us a little more tighter in that aspect. And I think it's helped us kind of grow as a group. I think we're a lot stronger this year. I think we're a lot mentally motivated because, they got a chance to see what we were starting and where we were at last year on the track. I mean, I think it's, basically moving across boards where we're going, coming from a season where it was, like you said, taken from us in a sense. But we have a unique opportunity to kind of continue the growth that we did last year. So, I mean, for me, I don't really look at it as a struggle in a sense. It's a revamping, it's a redirection, and getting to a place where we're more focused and driven in regards to what we're trying to do as a unit. Quincy track and field and cross country as a whole. We're moving in a fantastic direction, and so I don't really take it as a struggle or something that was put us in a bad spot. I think it put us in a good spot. We got to go with what we have, and we're going to make the best of it and continue to keep moving.
Definitely, and I know that being in your second season, these athletes have gone through a transition. Their first 2 years of college had a different coach, went through a transition, and do you guys feel like, despite a lot of the negatives you can take away from it, Randy being very positive about this situation, you guys have a much better atmosphere, you're more focused, you're more driven together. Do you guys feel that this was an opportunity to get closer with your coach and see the direction that he's trying to take this program?
Yes. Our team atmosphere almost completely flipped when we got new coaching staff. They put more time in. They told us what our goals were, what we were trying to strive for. We made our own goals this semester, and we're trying to reach those goals. And that's why I think we're putting so much time and effort in, and we're trying to make the most of it.
For sure, and I love that positivity that you talk about, that the team coming together and moving forward for a goal. And I know that in times of adversity, you have an opportunity, you have a decision to make. You can let it crush you, or you can use it as something to build you and make you stronger and more resilient. And it seems like with great leadership, that's what you guys have been able to do. I wanted to dovetail into a new topic because we are focused kind of on cross country and the meets that are going to be happening, the 3 meets, and I want you to kind of describe about how, with the 3 meet situation and the opportunity to still compete, what you as a coach have to try to do with your team. Like, how can you prepare them? How is this season preparing for cross country different than other seasons? Because, of course, is there a lot of unique restrictions that you have in terms of practicing because of the COVID-19?
Well, I mean, the good thing about it is that we do have the capabilities of actually doing a full-blown training session. I mean, I guess the drawback is the fact that we don't have as much time. We don't have as many races. We can't fine tune as much as we would like to. But the good thing about it is that we can get it in, get to it and move forward. But I think the biggest challenge is kind of getting them 100% prepared and ready to go to distances. Of course, we've all been impacted in some form or fashion by COVID, and training wise across the board, some individuals were, had to stay at home or weren't able to get out and run as much as we would like. So now, we're kind of in a process of building, building the distance, building the stamina, building those things that are going to help us, compete and and play within the rules. So it's not, for me, I want to take this season and kind of utilize it for what it is, and that's to kind of get them sharpened and get them prepared as best we can for the championship. It's just a shortened season, but we still have the direction and the goals that we have set forth, and, I'm going to handle it accordingly. The best thing for me is to make sure that they're healthy and doing the things that they need to do to stay in a healthy state mentally and physically. So, we have to take it for what it is, and the goal is to make sure that we're in the right place and in the right times when we get to the championship, the last meet of the season, GLVCs, and just kind of, hopefully the good things come out of it. But, the biggest thing is to make sure that everyone is healthy and ready to go at that time. So.
Definitely. And Athena, when you were toured last spring and things started to end and cancel, and then you have all this long layoff and quarantine, what was your reaction when the GLVC ultimately did make the decision that they would proceed to play? Were you expecting the GLVC to make this decision? And then what did you think about it once they did decide that they're going to let athletes in the GLVC compete in cross country?
At first I was pretty bummed when the season was canceled overall, but if the pandemic is something the whole world is going through, so you can't be too upset about that. And I looked at it as extra time to train. But when I heard that we would still be doing cross country, I was honestly surprised at first. I was like, I don't know how you do a Corona cross country race in the sense of social distancing and all that, but we'll see how they handle that and how that goes. But I was excited to be able to get some sort of season and still be able to compete, because you can train all you want, but competing is a really good part of training that comes along with it, being able to go to the meets and run as fast as you can and push yourself and get your times down. So I'm pretty happy that we still get to do a couple meets.
Definitely. I like what you said about going as hard as you can and pushing yourself, because that doesn't really change this. Every time you guys compete, you have that adrenaline, you have that endurance, and fans aren't allowed during these meets, are they? Or
right now they haven't allowed them to come on or be on presence. But I mean, they're going to be, broadcasting it on the GLVC network. So I mean, it's going to be almost like they're there. Of course, there won't be anyone there besides us, but we'll feel the love in everyone else that's not there cheering us on. So I mean, right now, no, I don't foresee seeing that happen. It's just too much of a liability at this point. And again, the biggest thing is for us to make sure that they're healthy and safe. So, we're going to try to put something on that's going to be, motivation, competitive as well as safe. So
yeah, definitely. And I was wondering if that played an effect, kind of the adrenaline that you get from fans cheering you on. And does that play an effect, or are you still going to be just as pumped up, just as fired up? I know that. And this is just some commentary. Maybe this sport might not be different from another sport in terms of cross country. It's not like you guys get the most fans, but still some of your loved ones, individuals coming to see you. Does that play a part, or how do you think you'll react to that change, or will it even be a factor?
I would say that it could be a slight factor, because when I hear my name called out from someone that I know, it makes me realize that I need to run faster. I have someone watching me. I have someone who I care about, and I want to impress them. At the same time, I know that I need to do that anyway. So I don't think that them being present there or them being present watching from afar is going to make that much of a difference.
What do you think, Athena?
I think kind of what the same thing Josiah said, that either way we kind of have to deal with the circumstances. So and I mean, cross country typically doesn't have the most fans like as track does, but I think it does help, especially in a race where it's longer and you're exhausted and you need that extra push. But that just comes down to like our mentality as athletes and being able to do that and understanding that we have fans watching. They may not be there, but they're still in support. So we still have to push and still have to try to make the best outcome out of the race we possibly can.
Yeah, because I was definitely curious about that, just because when you're so fatigued and somebody's pushing you to let you know, do they pump in some crowd noise for?
I mean, it sounds like, I mean, I don't know how many people that are listening actually have been to a cross country meet, but you still get your fire. You still get the fire. You have other individuals that from other teams that are pumping up their teammates, and you hear it from across the board. And it's just the atmosphere is still electrifying, regardless of the fact. I mean, and I think the most of it is the adrenaline that you have because you want to be in the top 20, top 30 at the race, and it's just self motivation and a self drive is what pushes you on. And of course, hearing someone that or call your name out, I'm going to be there cheering, and your teammates are going to be out there cheering. So, at least each gender is going to be out there cheering for the other. So I think that's going to, be we are who we are. We're a unique bunch that pushes ourselves through pain that people don't really realize what's there. But, that inner drive is what pushes us, or at least, I feel for myself, for being a former athlete as well, I have the internal drive and they have it as well. And the motivation that they've set forth and said to me, hey, coach, this is what I'm looking to do. This is what I want to do. Where I want to place myself is the drive that they need. And really all they need. But we're going to be there to cheer them on across the board. I know that, like I said, our family out in the masses are going to be watching and listening and cheering us on from afar. So we're going to do what we have to do and represent us in a fantastic mode and in a manner, and we'll come back and see what happens at that point. So
yeah, and I love how you talk about that drive, because during the time during quarantine when there was so much uncertainty, what kept both of you guys so driven and so focused to be able to come here and say, I want to put my best foot forward no matter what? And especially, well, first I just want to ask that question, is what kept you guys so driven during this time? What kept you going every single day? Because it's easy. A lot of people probably had anxiety, depression, and across the country, people have just been so negatively affected. What kept you going during this time?
Isolation has really caused me to want to run outside. Being cooped up in my house really was not my thing. And so as I was stuck in my house, I decided, you know what, I really need to just go on a run. So I'd go on a run. And doing so, I'd do the next day and the next day. And eventually, I'm just energized to run. And that's how I kept myself going whenever I knew that I was going to be in isolation, just stuck in my house.
And Athena, how did you approach your training during the layoff and the quarantine?
I just tried to be as positive as possible about it because running is like therapeutic in itself. Like I've always felt that way about it. So I think I'm lucky to be a runner because some people don't have that outlet. So I'm able to go outside and run and get in a workout and sweat and just push myself and like feel almost relieved in a sense. And I just know that even though there's so much uncertainty that eventually something will happen over time, it might take a really long time, but I had no clue we would be having a season. So I'm glad that I did push myself and work over the summer because it's important to like stay moving. Like you can't stay in one place. You have to keep moving forward. So no matter what you do, it's important to try to make as much progress as you can, no matter what the circumstances are.
Yeah, I love that. And a lot of times when you talk about that progress and you're so fatigued at the end of a race and you have that competition and that everybody's pushing forward and you have all that, how important is the mental game in running in terms of just keeping your mind right, in terms of knowing I want this so bad? Do you do a lot of coaching to do things during this time, getting ready for a season, to get everybody to want it more, to push through hard times more? Because adversity, like we said in general about this time, can make people stronger and more resilient. But at the ends of races and when your athletes just want to finish and put forward their best effort, even when it hurts, even when they're so fatigued, how important is the mental game? Is that a big factor in cross country?
It's a huge factor. I mean, I tell the athletes all the time, it's, track and field or cross country itself, running in an aspect of its own is a mental game. In regards to getting out there, it's great that you're able to get out. It's great that you're able to start. It's fantastic. Everyone can get out there and start at 100%. But it's what do you do when the race starts to come to the close and we've run 2.5 miles or what have you, and you're feeling fatigued and your legs are starting to give out. It's going to the mind and making sure that you're strong. And we do mental preparation and things like that in practice. I yell a lot. I kind of push that a lot on them. Like, hey, it's about the finish. We could start, but it's about the finish. It's all about the progression of the race and how you build throughout that period and throughout your race. So we do a lot of things in regards to cross country, track and field is 95% mental and 5% physical. So once you get through the mental barrier and you're strong enough to kind of push yourselves through it, and they've already have that because they're out there doing the things that they are needing to do to get better, to get prepared to compete. And that's the biggest thing, that I ask them to do. For myself, I'm just there to guide the direction in regards to what they should be doing and how they potentially should be finishing or feeling or kind of coming along and kind of processing the race as it goes by. But I mean, the mental aspect is super strong, and for what we've gone through as a group, what we've gone through as a team, and as an institution, I think we're in a good place, and we're starting to build that mental toughness across the board. And being in confinement and not being able to do a lot of the things that we would like to do, and asking them to come back and be in quarantine and stay on campus and things like that to kind of focus on the things that we have. They've already put what they would like to do into hand and say, we're here for a reason, and the reason is for them to potentially come out here and win a championship in some form of fashion. And I'm, that again, like that's one of the things that's super exciting about the group is because they put themselves in this situation to be successful, and I'm happy about being their coach to help them get to that point. So mental preparation is fantastic, and they've started to do that, and they've continued to do that throughout this entire time. So.
Amen. I love that. And when you talk about the squad, you've talked about the group a little bit. What other members of the group are on the squad, and for the men's and the women's side? What's the makeup of the team look like on both sides for cross country?
We have some strong individuals that have not necessarily run cross country as frequently as these individuals have. They're new additions to the squad. We have a couple of new additions, a couple of freshmen that are coming in that are pretty strong or building their feet, learning to train and learning how to go through the process of being a collegiate athlete. So we have a relatively young group of student athletes. I mean, these guys are anchoring it across the board. But in regards to what we have some really, really stellar athletes. I mean, I don't necessarily want to name names. We'll be here all day. But we have a few that are on the bubble of doing some really, really big things, and I'm happy about their progression throughout the year. And I don't think they would want me to put their names out here at the moment, but they're excited about being a part of the team. They're excited about helping these individuals get to a goal that they've been working towards, and I think that's the biggest aspect. It's a team thing. It's not an individual thing. So I kind of try not to just point individuals' names out there and just drop name drop and stuff like that, just because they they're a team, they're collective, and they want to kind of be named as such.
Definitely. And in a couple of weeks, Hawks fans, we're here with Hawk cross-country coach and a couple of his senior athletes. You guys can go try to find out those names. The GLVC Sports Network, they're going to be broadcasting the meets in a couple of weeks. 3 meets coming up here this season. It's going to be fun. And I appreciate you guys joining us on the podcast to kind of talk about what's coming up for the season, because it definitely is a unique time, that we find ourselves in. And we're trying to do our best to, highlight the success of and the dedication of 4 years of hard work that you guys have put in at this institution, and also the direction that Randy is taking this program. So I really do appreciate it, all 3 of you, for coming on and making this happen.
Appreciate having me.
Thank you.